See this episode's show notes for our unique promo code to get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn when you sign up for a new account. Get your show on Apple and Spotify, get helpful stats, and all the support you need to sound your very best.
Hey everyone, this is Phil
and Lilith
of the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
You're listening to Into the Night,
The Moon Knight podcast.
Yes, welcome back, Loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 280, and you are with both of your high priests of KHONSHU, Rebecca and Ray. Rebecca, how are you going?
I'm good. On a bit of a high at the moment.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no,
Me too. But just a little peek behind the curtain. I literally just finished watching it. I didn't realize how close it was to our recording time. I thought I'd have a lot more time in between, but I turned on the.
Ray is like really fresh off the
very fresh
high.
Yeah, I turned on the phone. It was like, you know.
I'm really surprised at how little chat there's been on our Discord and in the Facebook page so far, and it reminded me that the great majority of the group, the I2K group, is probably American, so they have the worst time for watching it. So we're going to get this onslaught later, but that I cannot wait. But I have to say that I was watching Twitter as it was aired live.
Okay,
and it was great fun to see the
the
instant reactions to all the twists and turns.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to stay away. I did see a little bit on Twitter, but yeah, I'm sure things will start trickling in as people wake up and they get themselves settled, or they finish work and are able to watch the episode. But Loony listeners, this is a reaction episode, as fresh as you can get, and we are looking at episode 4, The Tomb. And yes, it will be just Rebecca and my reaction, our instant reactions to this. Yeah. We have seen it before. We were privileged with seeing an earlier copy, but I don't know, Rebecca, if you feel the same. It's just as fresh and exciting to see it again.
It really is. I mean, like, just even knowing the twist and also just knowing that this time we'll be able to start speculating, without worrying about spoilers, and watching everyone else get to join us on that. Because, like, from the moment you, me, and Noel saw it and started screaming mid-episode, all I want is for other people to, like, experience that sort of, like, that kind of screaming excitement. And special shout out to, let me just find it in Discord.
Yes.
Because this is what was making me laugh this week. So special shout out to Henry in the Discord, who drew himself as an avatar of the Aztec moon god. Who knew that would suddenly become a relevant factor? So, like, I've been holding that in for like 3 days now, of wanting to say, Henry, like, how did you know? Your timing's like perfect. So
well done, Henry. Well done. My gosh. And speaking of thank yous, I will just quickly segue into just our beginnings. A big thank you to all our patronies, of course. Thank you everyone for allowing us to grow the show. Big thank you to our principal sponsors, Drew Tombz, Daniel Doing, and Frank the Tank, as well as CLZ Comics and Dreamland Comics from Illinois. But yes, Henry, that's very prophetic.
It was really hard not to say anything as well, because he wasn't guessing this would happen. It was just a cool little thing, and it was just like, oh my god! Like I was saying to Ray a couple of days ago, all I want to do is say, just wait for Wednesday. But even that's a spoiler. So I was very impressed. It got me excited to see somebody else's reactions.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I'm sure we'll get a varied bunch, or just an astounded bunch of reactions. I mean, this was...
I cannot wait.
Yeah, this episode was one that was pitted as being a huge... what do they market it as? Like a game changer. This was the big episode.
And honestly, like, I think they have a right to say that. Like, they've said it before about other shows and films, and At least they didn't say it will change the Marvel universe forever.
Yeah, exactly.
But
That's a
I
big
do
call.
think this is a bit of a game changer that's going to get people going back and looking at the other episodes we've had a little bit.
Yeah, and I think for the Lemire fans and the Lemire lovers of Moon Knight,
this is a bit
you will-
harsh on Lemire. Lemire fan.
Oh no, the
No, I know,
fans.
I know, it's not what you meant.
Plenty. But how exciting. I mean, we were just speaking in the panel discussion prior in the episode 3 with Paul and Scott.
I know, I'm amazed
about
at
the
how
beautiful-
stony-faced you stayed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. About the Lemire influences, and by gosh, we get it in this one.
I mean, it's no secret that's my favourite run. And it's the run I gave to someone to read in preparation for the show, purely on the basis that it's my favourite run. And I was watching it with them on chat, and they literally screamed when it happened. And I was like, yeah, it's like I didn't know if I was fully expecting it or not, and certainly not the way they led up to it. I don't think I was expecting.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely wasn't. Like with the whole, we were too fixated with him being shot, and like, are we going to see KHONSHU resurrect him now? Like, but KHONSHU's trapped. Like, what's going to happen? And then it was just like, oh, I see what's happening. And like,
it had a weird transition because it went to that 1980s VHS Tomb Buster, which I'm gonna have to call this episode Tomb Buster.
Yeah, you are gonna have to the Tomb Buster. Yeah, with Dr. Stephen Grant.
Dr. Stephen Grant, but what a weird
Rotzer.
Okay. But what a weird transition, like going
weird,
from
but great, like so
absolutely.
Like, and I think
exactly.
if you're ever going to get an idea of what it feels like to be disoriented, that entire sequence is a pretty good one. Like
yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, this is called The Tomb. It was released April 20th, the night that Rebecca, or not here, the day that Rebecca and I are recording. Yeah. Directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, and I just screenshot. That's why I was playing the credits earlier, Rebecca. I just screenshot the writers for this episode: Alex Minahan, Peter Cameron, and Sabir Pizzada. Now, what Rebecca and I will do, I mean, we've started doing it already because we're so damn excited. But Rebecca and I will go through typically the curvy bits, just the main things that really stuck out to us of this episode. And we will try and call out any pointy ends, which may have things that may tweak or may sit a little differently with longtime comic book fans or Moon Knight fans. So we've been doing that for the last previous episodes. We may as well carry that on through.
We may as well carry on. I there's not going to be many of them today. That's a heads up. So looking forward to, if you have feedback and there were things you really hated about this episode, bring them on, because we haven't been great at thinking about them, but we might be a bit overawed by it. So
yes, Rebecca, can I formally get us into the Moon and Stars? Now, can you tell we're excited about this episode? I mean, I mean, we've already kind of started getting into some of the bits and pieces, but Rebecca, where do you want to start on this one?
Where do I want to start with this one? Okay, I know I've got to. Let's start at the beginning. More about Mark's origin and Harrow telling Layla about the origin.
Yep,
because I think that has to be like, until we get to the asylum, I think that's like number one. Like we're going straight comics here.
Yes.
And it is particularly creepy to hear it. So like, and coming exactly where it's come, where she's already come to terms with Stephen and Mark. She's had a little kiss, and they've gone through these very traumatic fight sequences where she's been saving him for a lot of this episode. And then when she finally has the end of this sort of, she gets Harrow explaining to her how her dad died, and then has to confront Mark about it. I think we pretty much now get the also get the confirmation that they've set up her dad, or they've taken the name from Scarlet Scarab. So That's where the
So,
name comes from.
what
He
was
was
that? Sarah?
Abdul
Abdul.
Fool.
Yep.
Yeah, Abdul
Yep.
Fool. I mean, obviously he's not the same because he's not the same character, but like the name
Yep.
is definitely. And if
Okay,
you noticed
right.
at the Scarlet, her little plaster had a scarlet scarab on it.
Ah,
Very
right.
cute. So, but I think that, I mean, that's just like whether we get to see it or not, we've now had it described relatively clearly. This is what
Yes.
happened. It is the comics origin,
Mhm.
with the switch that Layla wasn't there, but it was,
Yep.
and that we don't know the name of his partner yet.
Yeah, well, that's the closest we got, didn't we? I mean, as well. So when
Closest
he
we've got,
mentions, he
Yeah.
mentions my partner got a bit greedy, and yeah, immediately I was thinking, Bushman.
Yeah. So like we all know, and
Yeah.
like they still could show it. I mean, presumably it's I'm still hoping we get the KHONSHU resurrection.
Yeah,
But now we've kind of got potentially 2 resurrections in play because we don't
Yeah.
actually know Mark's status right now.
Oh,
Like fully.
this is
So,
where it just really
this
boggles.
is where it's
Yeah.
getting great. But like, so I
Yeah.
assume we're going to see a KHONSHU resurrection. But we know that's what happened. It's just then finding out where Harrow fits into that and stuff. So I think that's like a really good. Can't help but like how that was done.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
I mean, feel free
Yeah.
to disagree with me, everyone. Not Ray. You're not allowed to.
oh no, I think you pretty much really summed it up well. Though basically the premise of this whole episode, and you are right, as you mentioned previously, that we got so invested in the first 2/3 or first half of it. I can't.
think
I
2/3.
don't know.
I think 2/3.
Yeah, 2/3 of it with going into the tomb, looking for its kind of stone statue, or I can't remember the name of it, or Meshet or something.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
terrible with that.
I know. I've written it down. Ushabti.
Ushabti, yeah. And so that was so great. I mean, like this, because it was a real switch again from episode 3 and prior. It was very much an Indiana Jonesy kind of archaeological.
Yeah, I mean, we're fully into the mummy here from Indiana Jones. I'd say like we start Indiana Jones, and then go full on the mummy when we get to the sort of like sorcerers and the gross thing they're doing to that guy, and the fight, and all of that sort of stuff,
which is a really nice mix. Again, it's something that it doesn't pull you away. Like it hasn't been to the sense that it's been so realistic that seeing this really weird ghoul kind of dissect a living guy seemed pretty weird and out there, like a little mummy ghoul. I don't know how would you call him. He just it's all part and parcel.
They did name what these sorcerers were called, but I don't know if I wrote it down very well. So they were the kind of the sorcerers that they said were entombed with him.
Okay, right. Do we know how many there are, or they're just?
I didn't actually check.
No. Okay. Well, I mean, they seem to be causing havoc to the group, but then again, all I'm going back to, Rebecca, is just like, is this even real because of what happened in the second half or the last
I know, like, I mean, but
the TV show. So I mean, Layla's the big truth on Layla I thought was good. I think the action and hang on, also the budding romance between Layla and Steven comes to fruition as well. She goes in for a kiss and he kind of blurts out a truth that KHONSHU wants to potentially use.
Yeah, he
Layla
tells her why
as
Mark wanted to be away from her, which is like,
yeah. But then what I loved actually was then Steven decides to go for it and go for the kiss, and it was an awkward kiss. I mean, I love the reaction of Layla at the end. She's kind of like polite, like, oh, thank you. But she seemed a little bit visibly perturbed at the the type of kiss that she got. So it seemed very awkward, but that's Steven. And I don't think that deters her. She still smiles when he's so excited.
I mean, like, it is weird to take Steven with you, but like, there's no way he's giving up the body when he gets to go in a tomb. And you know what? For all people complained about his competence in the first few episodes, this is a different Steven. Like, he seems a bit more confident. he doesn't like fall over while he's trying to run. Like he's hiding. I mean, he's still not like, you know, Mark levels, but he doesn't mess up in the same way as he has in previous episodes.
No. I mean, considering...
so when we were talking earlier about the sort of development, I think we are seeing a bit of a development there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you see him when he goes to that upper level and he starts investigating. And then when he first sees that sorcerer, he's very kind of scared, but he doesn't totally freak out. You know, he kind of keeps it together. He even helps Layla as well. He pushes that corpse and stuff. He squishes it. Yeah. So he, you know, he's kind of overcoming a bit of his fears there as well. But yeah, but sorry, Rebecca, I just keep on going towards the end. And now knowing seemingly where this Stephen Grant, the name at least, comes from, because we see the Tomb Buster videos and Dr. Stephen Grant. So you're led to.
We think so. Maybe, he loved that video. Maybe that's
so
where
he
got
took the
name from.
Or maybe that's where he also got the kind of cavalier adventurer identity in Mark as well. So there's a bit of both of them.
Even the moon gods, and if that's the video he's watched a million times.
Yeah, that's right. Because they were looking at the Aztec, the lunar Aztec god. I can't remember the name of it, but absolutely translate that over, and you look at. Well, I'm going to call him Dr. Harrow's office. With all
his tasty moustache.
Tasty moustache and his blue
his
eyes.
Villain moustache,
and all the Egyptian kind of busts he has on the. In his
so they are the Sons of Horus. The urns that we saw.
Okay.
Were the Sons of Horus, which are the funerary gods.
Okay.
So the one they're showing is a human one, a baboon one, and a falcon one. Apparently, there's another one as well, which.
Right.
I got this off a friend off the internet who is like not off the internet, a friend of mine, and we were chatting on Twitter, and they are very knowledgeable about this stuff. And then it devolved into a discussion about the goat, which we might leave to the panel on Sunday because we'll leave that. There's a lot of explanations that involved the goat, but very important.
Yes, and Loony listeners as well. So Rebecca and I will return with a couple other guests on the panel discussion later on. So we are kind of withholding some of the finer details for this one, only because we just want to do our reaction.
Not to go into it too much.
Yeah, because we don't want to double up on what we're saying. But just we're just canvassing the whole episode.
Yeah.
We'll get to stuff like the goat, I guess. Layla in action. There was more Layla in action as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of Layla. I'm guessing because, obviously because Steven's knocked out at the end of the last episode. He no longer has the suits, access to the suits. So, but we do get to see Layla being like pretty competent, but also demanding agency. Like when Steven's sort of saying, "Oh, I made this deal with Mark," and she was like, "Well, do I not get a say in this is my husband?"
Yep.
Which is so that's I like that she stood up for herself there. I mean, we'll talk about her a bit more later, but and she got to do the whole Tomb Raider thing.
She did.
Creeping along the wall and the mummy hand coming out at her and being grabbed. Yeah, it was pretty creepy. I think they did the horror. I think they ratcheted the horror up a little bit.
They
could do a bit of it. Yeah, even in the asylum.
Yeah, I think, for sure. I think there were some really tense moments that Benson and Moorhead did create there, especially in the tomb and in the asylum as well. I mean, we see Stephen in the sarcophagus coming out in the asylum. And there's another sarcophagus as well, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm sure we're talking about
that. But Layla's action was great from the outset. The use of the flares, I think, is great.
You can't help but joke that, she used a lot of flares, but
she did.
That's all she had access to. It looks like, and she made good use of them.
Yeah, for sure. I got vibes as well in a very cool way of Sigourney Weaver, Ripley. I don't think she only probably used flares once, but it's just a really kick-ass.
And it did look like she was alive at the. Yeah, I mean, obviously she survived the fall, which is good. Well, so obviously she talked to Mark about it after she went and fought with him.
Yeah. Another little thing from Layla I thought was really great. I mean, you're talking about her agency. I'm thinking about her strength as well, is when she talks to Harrow, and Harrow's really kind of opening up and giving her the truth about her father, and it's eating her up inside for sure.
But she's not
But
going
then
to say anything to him. Yeah.
No, she turns to him and goes, "Are you done?" Like
Yeah.
you know, that sort of thing.
She knows to have it out with Mark.
Yeah. So, and she does as well. I mean, that forces Stephen to go into his shell.
with his whole, "You're right, love."
Yeah, you're right, love. He goes, because we won. You know, he's showing the little statue, but the moment she's kind of looking pretty serious and angry at him, he leaves. And Mark
remind me about some of the other really cute, like, Stephenisms throughout.
Yeah,
like when
he's fair few, yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Great.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Although I think my favorite is when she says it's a maze, and he said it's amazing.
It's amazing
because that's exactly the kind of bad. Like when I wrote it down on my notes, I wasn't sure if there was a joke I'd made. So it's like it is the kind of cheesy joke I would make.
Yeah. But no, he was good in it, and he had obviously he had the knowledge as well. I loved him drawing.
I mean, like
they
needed him, and he knew it. He knew it was Macedonian.
Yep.
He knew,
the tongue, the voice
like,
of.
Oh, it has to be one of the big guns.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Nefertiti. Oh, it has to be.
Yeah. Alexander the Great, even more exciting.
Yeah. So that was maybe. Do we leave that for the finer discussion, Rebecca? But that kind of threw me. I'm not really up to speed with my ancient history. I mean, don't know.
I believe it's true that Alexander the Great had himself buried as a pharaoh.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Okay. Cool. I mean,
that's
I
know. I'm sure people will let us know.
Yeah. I think also Arthur Harrow had a pretty more straightforward role in this episode. He just seemed to be the Machiavellian, villain, taunting Layla.
He turns up. I'm still not like. It's interesting. We still have questions about who they're shooting. Like,
well, I'm assuming the sources.
Yeah, I am as well.
Yeah,
but like, there's a lot of noise and him turning up exactly where Layla was. But that's all right. He comes but also just seeing him shoot Mark point blank at the end. I mean, not point blank, like pretty close range.
Yeah.
And then to keep shooting him. So like, he's been positioned as this kind of someone who might get someone else to do that, but he actually does it himself. So I think that's kind of interesting as well.
Yeah, it shows that he really wanted a direct kind of hand.
And I loved when
Mark's
he came in.
Demise.
Yeah, I loved when he came in with "The Rest Is Silence" because Ethan's a big Shakespeare guy. And I just watched him in The Northman last night, which is of course based the story that Hamlet is based on. So to then see him in this doing Hamlet's last words before dying.
Wow.
If anyone didn't know what that quote is from.
No, I didn't. Yeah, that's great.
That's pretty funny. It was just like, oh, okay, that's a
great.
lot of Shakespeare and Ethan.
Yeah, it makes sense as well. Telling Mark, I know that there's no more voices of KHONSHU, at least, that you have going around in your head. So it must be nice. And with it though comes choice. So he really puts it to Mark again, trying to persuade him rather than resort to violence.
Decision to make.
Yeah,
he does seem to. I mean, believes in free will to an extent. That if you don't do what I want, I will kill you.
Yeah.
So, but maybe he knows about that KHONSHU can resurrect him. Who knows?
Who knows? I was watching a little interview, with Oscar Isaac and May Kalamaway and Ethan, and Ethan was saying, it's the thing about villains. You don't play them like mustache twirling villains. You play them as if you believe. And he goes, I played him as Saint Arthur Harrow. Like, so he really got into it and tried to get behind it. So but I think he had a pretty limited role in this, considering it was very. It was mainly Stephen.
He was
and
there
Layla,
to just move those two pieces of plot along, to give Layla the backstory and to kill Mark.
True. And that was big. I think
and then to be a moustache twirling therapist.
Well, let's not forget that. I mean,
if you're going to be a villain, you need the moustache, right?
Yeah, but he still seems very earnest at the end as the Doctor. I mean, he looks like he cares for Mark. He's empathizing with him as well, saying, "Look, I've suffered bouts of depression and mental illness as well, and I've managed to, to come around on the other side." Nothing in those scenes show that he doesn't give a little cheeky glare at Billy and Bobby and say, "Go get him." I mean, he actually goes to Bobby. Are you okay? And Bobby's, yeah, I'm so he's doesn't look villainous at all. But I was about to say the big takeaway from this episode was that reveal of Layla, a bit more of her back history. But of course, we do have that final third of the episode,
which throws everything up in the air. So
absolutely throws everything. I
mean,
I
guess we're up to discussing that now. I mean, that's where we've got. I think we've gone through all the sort of major other points that we wrote down. Yeah,
absolutely. So the asylum. We're just brought into this, transitioned again through the Tomb Buster little scene with Dr. Stephen Grant, but we see a lot of familiar characters there. We see.
Yes,
basically the cast.
I think I have them down. Yeah, I think I just went back and looked at it. So we have Donna with the cuddly scarab.
Yes.
There's cupcakes on Beck's trolley.
And Beck being the bodyguard of Anton Mogart.
Yeah. The passport lady is drawing a bird with a KHONSHU skull head, which is gorgeous. We have Gus.
Yes, Gus. Yeah.
We have a picture. So in Harrow's office, there's the picture of the Alps. Layla's pinning postcards to a board.
And she's eating.
And she's eating the Turkish delight.
Turkish delights. Yeah.
Yeah. The captions list her as nurse before she comes on screen, but I think that might just be wrong because she looks like a nurse to me. I think that was just to so you didn't know. Then she has the scarab on her plaster. Obviously he has the ankle restraint and
the ankle restraint was pretty cool. The ankle restraint, I thought, like from the wheelchair, because it's like, oh, of course, this is what he's made up. And the Moon Knight figure, to conjure up this vision of what this Avatar of Vengeance,
and obviously the VHS and Crawley. Doing the bingo.
Oh, Crawley as well. Yeah.
Crawley. So, where's Gina and Frenchie, right? There are people there that we need Gina and Frenchie, basically.
I was looking at the others as well, and
me too. I was like, which one's Frenchie? Come on.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're the acolytes of Harrow, because I mean, taking nothing away from them, but they are pretty nondescript. If you look at Harrow's gunmen in the tomb scenes, they kind of look like some of them.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Ozzy went missing and he's just appeared on top of our wall, so I had to have a quick look. If anyone's worried where Ozzy is at the moment, he literally ran off and left the building and the garden. So if you saw me looking a bit worried earlier, he's back. It's all right.
Oh, good.
Sorry.
He's now the Moon's Knight of Vengeance.
He's been out avenging something or other.
So plenty. Oh, also as well, Arthur Harrow's or Dr. Harrow's sandals.
He has his sandals, his cane.
His cane, slightly different, but still got the cane.
Yep, the funerary urns, obviously. Now, the asylum's extremely white, right? Everything's very white.
So what do you, Rebecca? What do you think? I mean, what is your immediate reaction?
What do you think? My immediate reaction is always going to be, I think, like everyone else, why didn't we open that other sarcophagus? That has to be Jake.
Has to be Jake. Yeah,
has to be. That Oscar Isaac is a remarkable actor to pull off. Awesome. Just even when he just ran out of Harrow's office and he's still doped up. And he's tripping over himself.
Slobbering
and
as well.
Slobbering. It's just incredible. And obviously, Stephen and Mark hug.
Yes.
I mean, they've gone from the beginning of the episode where Mark punched Stephen in the face to being so relieved to see each other that they hug. Yeah. I mean, to see each other physically or what appears to be physically. So, exactly.
Yeah, that's a question, because I was thinking then, like you get caught up in this whole thing, and then I was thinking, oh, surely because they're there together, surely this must be in Mark's mind. But you're right. Maybe it isn't. Maybe
the rest.
That's not Stephen. Yeah, or maybe he's thinking. Maybe some of it is.
Maybe somebody else is fronting it right now. So if somebody else is fronting, and these are the alters in their mindscape, or was the previous thing that I don't know. Like they can go either way.
Yeah.
Or they can go that he's dead and we're awaiting, like they're now going to go on this mission to free KHONSHU and then he can be resurrected. And then,
but where is he then? If he's dead,
know.
Is he in like limbo
so
or something?
What have we got? The options we've got: Mindscape, Afterlife,
Afterlife,
or reality, and the rest isn't true.
Yeah, exactly. This is a reality, but it still has some of Mark's illusions. And the whole story has been a fabrication up to this point. My gosh, Rebecca, do you think we'll see Bedsheet Moon Knight?
Like, as you know, when I first, like, that's like literally all I want now. Is I want Bedsheet Moon Knight, because like he hasn't got KHONSHU. So that's the only way he can mask up is with a bedsheet or towel. I think it's a towel. Might be a bedsheet. I don't know.
He knows.
It's one or the other. Bedsheet, towel,
straight jacket,
kind of rubbishy towel. Yeah, Yeah. I never want to see a straight jacket in my life because and I think it's a good choice because like not to have that sort of. I mean, they've already they've already showed him all doped up and.
No, for sure. No.
But I mean, it does suit the Moon Knight outfit because it's white. But everything is so white that it doesn't seem real. Like that does not seem like an actual hospital.
Well, also
everyone's like even the wheelchair's white and the wall, everything's white.
Also, there's something else that doesn't look real in there. At the very end,
I don't know what you're talking about, like, in your life. I have hippos. I have like goddesses, hippos.
How does it? Because Stephen pronounces it. It doesn't seem to be the way it's spelt. How is it? It's Taweret, but
that I don't know how it's pronounced.
Because he pronounced it really strangely in episode 1, which I'm sure is the accurate way to say it. But
we'll bone up on that before Sunday.
The hippo goddess.
The fertility and life and
she seems very informal. Hey,
she's a bit valley girl. But very it's a very cool way to end the episode because I would have hated it to end with him opening the sarcophagus and just not seeing what was inside. I think it would have been like, even if we had seen like a little cap and moustache, Oscar, it wouldn't be as satisfying as having like this. Totally throws us off, but pulls us back into the Egyptian gods.
Oh, absolutely. It's
especially that's the other thing. Sorry, the other thing I meant to mention is like right at the beginning we see that KHONSHU is not the only other.
Not the only one.
God. So this kind of bookends the episode with this war on the gods that the original description was promising us.
Yeah.
So because now we have someone on his side, we believe.
Yep.
To help that's going to help him because
bloody Osiris. Bloody Osiris or Salim looks like he's the one putting them in that secret vault. So
he's a bad one.
He's a bad one. So War of the. Well, I'm assuming it's Egyptian gods, right? Not all out gods, but
Let's just stay. Sorry, Egyptian.
There's plenty of them though. Like there seems to be plenty.
I mean, there are a lot of Egyptian gods.
There are. It just astounds me when you actually see it, like physically. The amount of statues.
Unfortunately, I think they were a bit too far out to really see who any of them were. But we will. I'm sure somebody will go through that with a fine-tooth comb soon. And I think we should have some more on that. But like certainly for us, it was too much to quickly work them out. But so it just leaves us up in the air. I mean, like, does that mean it's? I mean, that still to me still puts Afterlife and Mindscape in play. Yes. Reality less so, but. The gods do walk among us, apparently. So,
are the void, Rebecca? Maybe.
Are the void? Well, we know that's where the gods live, so probably,
Yeah, maybe they've taken.
Look, where the space wolves, like that is what we want now.
Yeah,
we're firmly in Lemire
Space
territory.
Knight Mark.
We need space wolves. We need him in his astronaut suit.
Yeah. Well, hear me out, Rebecca, because I'm running with that now. So say that for some reason it was all true, right? So Harrow shot Mark, and he's died, and he's gone to some sort of afterlife, rescued by Taweret or the hippo goddess, whisked back to the other void where she is. I don't know why she sets him up in an asylum, but yeah, maybe that's it. And then that's where she kind of convenes with him and maybe Hathor, and they decide to make a stand against Salim and Osiris, and also Osiris. Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's really open, and I just wanted to make that point as well. What you said, we could have ended with him opening the sarcophagus and not seeing it. That would have kind of kept the tension, but I think by having this total weirdo reveal of this fertility goddess, when we're already off balance at this last third of the episode, I think it's just and then you see both Mark and Stephen just screaming. I mean, that pretty much sums up what's going on. And
I love the reactions. There are so many memes of this moment already. So many memes.
Are there?
And also like people like really praising Oscar for saying even screaming you can tell them apart. It's like Stephen's
Really?
kind of freaking out
He just got that.
and Mark's just screaming. But for all like whatever I think of like the design and stuff like that, I think ending it was a really smart way to end it because it's left us really disoriented. Like if we'd seen Jake or open the sarcophagus, or who we I assume all think is probably Jake, or KHONSHU, I guess, who knows? But let's say Jake. Then we wouldn't be quite as uncertain about the reality of what's going on.
Yeah.
But this adds an extra dimension to it. And I have no idea where we go next, but we will talk about that a lot more on Sunday. And
absolutely. And we got screeners for episodes 1 to 4. So now, Rebecca, Uncharted.
Now we can actually, this is why I'm coming on the panel this week, so we can actually get loose with speculation.
Well, let's head towards some pointy ends. I don't know. We don't have that much really.
No.
The only thing I could think of, Rebecca, potentially, because there has been comments I've seen about a lack of actual Moon Knight action. But having said that, KHONSHU is set in stone in last episode. Mark's lost his powers, so it wouldn't make sense to see him. But maybe as a whole, maybe that might be a bit of a pointy end for, say, the first 4 episodes, that this episode had absolutely no Moon Knight at all.
I think it's this episode had no Moon Knight at all. I think I think it's the same with a lot of the Marvel shows, is that we haven't seen a lot of the superhero action. I mean, just the setups of some of them. I guess we've seen more. But also Mark's a competent fighter, so he only needs to suit up when he needs to suit up. Yeah. I don't know. I do take that on board. And this episode, but at least there's a reason for it in this episode.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
And I'm guessing people who are upset about that are hoping that the next episode firmly gets KHONSHU back ASAP, or it's all Origin, which is the other option, is that they now delay until the finale and sort of give us this hanging what's going on issue. So yes, no Moon Knight. The other one, sorry.
Yeah. No, I was about to say as well, interesting point about the Origin when that drops as well, because I'm thinking on the flip side, on the flip-flop, Rebecca, sometimes how sometimes series have the finale like this on the second last episode, and then there's almost like a calming down, a dust settling for the last episode. They could go that way as well. We could get a big thing happening, a big showdown on episode 5, and then potentially. I mean, we know that Mark Spector's parents are going to be seen. We know that they've been cast.
Yeah. I mean, like pretty strongly. No.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess still options, but I think the safe bet would be it would be episode 5 would be an Origin. The other,
it doesn't have to all be an Origin. Like they've been whipping through a lot of this stuff pretty quickly. If the last 2 episodes, we've got through a lot of content. A lot of stuff.
I'm thinking also as well, like just on the point of no Moon Knight in this episode, I think maybe as a foil to that, and as compensation, so to speak, is this last third, because it's so Moon Knight. You know what I mean? It's what, if you remember, Rebecca, years ago when we're all just speculating about a Moon Knight TV show, and it's like, oh, it can't be like Legion though, and but this is perfect. This would be like the Legion show. Is like how we'd love to see Mark Spector portrayed, if he was on TV. We got that in the last third of this episode, and it was done so well.
I love it.
Yeah, I think,
and it all comes back to Stephen Grant, the TV producer, from the Bendis run. It's just like everything in there. Like, just, I mean, I know this was him as a character, but but he's like producing a show called Moon Knight, so like it all ties into that. And you were saying it reminded you of all the pulp stories, the Moon Knight pulp stories. So,
the backup stories in the Mensch run. But yeah, I think that was a pretty big carrot that the show threw and gave us. If that's a right metaphor, I don't know, a pretty big bone for all of us fans to compensate for the lack of like Moon Knight, I guess. So yeah, the other pointy bits, just to I guess round out Rebecca here, because when we watched it with Noel, there was a comment about maybe potentially too much Layla, but again, this was a Layla centric.
I think it's going to be a very personal thing. It comes down almost as much as the too much Moon Knight. No Moon Knight is it should focus more on just Mark and Stephen. But I think given like for me, I didn't feel that, especially not once the shift happened. Like if it had carried on being Layla fights her way through the tomb and Stephen just turns up at the right place, then maybe I'd have been like that. But I think it just seemed to go really fast for me, so I didn't even notice that there was a lot of like all that the period that they were separated. Plus, it let Harrow do the whole origin thing, which I loved.
Yes,
and I liked that it was when she was separate from Stephen at the time. Stephen.
Yes.
So I don't think. I mean, like that. It wasn't an issue. I mean, obviously, it wasn't an issue I had. But I can definitely see why that would be a bit unsettling as well, that we're expecting him to be the focus of attention the whole time, in the same way as like the Hawkeye show was Hawkeye the whole time, or other Hawkeye. And like Loki was Loki most of the time. You didn't like go off on what's this other person doing right now. So but she is so close to him, and they're doing the same mission, so I didn't see that as big of an issue.
Okay.
And plus he's just been like plus he's just been knocked out from like overexerting himself with KHONSHU in the night, so
yeah, exactly. He's been through a rough trot, so and look, the only other, I don't even think it is a pointy, and I put in here that hippo goddess, the fertility goddess, but for those of you that have been watching since the beginning, you would know that has already been a bit of a setup. Like in episode 1, Stephen in the stock room of the museum, he makes mention of Taweret or whatever the hippo fertility goddess. So there are little clues there. If you go retrospectively and watch the whole series again, you'll see that there's a bit of a setup for this god to come out. I mean, she's still quite a shock when you do see her, because like
she's a shock,
the last thing you want to
purely
see,
because of the voice, like purely the voice. And also like we have the only other god we've seen is so far that non-Avatar is KHONSHU. So like and the big bird skull is kind of in that sort of gothy horror, and then suddenly we've got this cheerful hippo
with dreadlocks. Well.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I mean,
oh,
like,
not dreadlocks.
I just started giggling, because it's just like what the hell? I could see people disliking that, but like, I think I was just gobsmacked by it. Like, literally, I don't know if I have a feeling about her until I know more about her. But it was a definite drop of like, what?
Yeah. So I don't know. Having said that, I guess these are our initial reactions, as mentioned, like Rebecca and I, and a couple of others. Noel, hopefully, fingers crossed, and the return of KHONSHU, hopefully, one of the original high priests. Be great to have them along to chat, and we'll get into more details. But as always, we just wanted to drop our initial
Yeah,
thoughts.
and please send your feedback because this is going to be a fun one. I've
Absolutely.
got somebody literally tweeting me theories right now, which
Oh,
are really great
excellent.
theories, and I can't wait to discuss. But I don't want to get ahead of myself and start discussing them now because otherwise we might
for
not
sure.
have as much
Exactly.
to talk about on Sunday.
For sure. Well, let's give this a rating, Rebecca. We've given the other ones a rating. You've got yours in there,
I have.
believe. Yes.
Yeah, I'm
what
kind
do
of
you-
thinking of changing it, but right now it's
Yeah.
9.5. I'm thinking of like closer to 10, but you know.
Yep. 9.5. Well, yeah, I'm going the big fuck off moon. 10
Yeah.
out of 10.
I'll give it a 10 as well.
You give
I
it 10
did
as
love
well.
it. Yeah.
It is just a treat to watch. I can see it may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I think that last third will at least persuade you to come return and watch episode 5, even if you may not have liked the whole episode. I found it great. It's a different flavor. It was all like tomb archaeology, like adventure type. This was exactly what they're talking about, Indiana Jones, and then it just took us for a swerve. I'd love to see how Layla got away from that sorcerer when she got pulled into the shadows. She ends up with a hand.
Yeah.
She's holding, and the sorcerer is trying to stab her with its bone. So it was,
that was amazing.
It was really cool, and quite violent. I mean, I guess because it's an undead thing, you could do whatever you want. But she shoves this flare in its face, and off you go.
Of course,
yeah, but yeah, 10 out of 10 for me. And Rebecca, yeah, I guess you're the same. Let's bump it up, eh?
Yeah.
So Loonies, there you have it. That is our initial reaction. As always, we'll follow this up over the weekend. It might be a bit later because, unfortunately, well, over here, this neck of the woods, we do have a public holiday. So just timing-wise, we will get it out before next week's Moon Knight TV episode. Don't you worry. But we will be cutting it fine. But we will get it out there. It will be live streamed as well. So you're more than welcome to join us live and drop in your comments as we spectolate the hell out of this episode.
Yeah.
So again, Rebecca, thank you so much for this chat.
Thank you.
I want to watch it again, but it's getting a bit late here.
And I'm really sorry for all the looking out the window. Sorry.
No, not at all. No worries.
It doesn't happen often, but I saw him disappear, and I was like,
yeah, absolutely. No, you wouldn't want that like hanging over you whilst Aussie's disappearance.
Yeah, that would be bad.
No, yeah, absolutely. As always, a huge shout out. I'm sure I'm going to be checking my podcast catcher for the latest episode from TV Podcast Industries again. Urge you guys. I'm very. I think they'll be giving it full marks. I mean, I think they gave last episode full marks. If they gave
they are very generous scorers.
Very,
and I love that about them. But
yes.
I can't see. I mean, it's really hard to knock it. I almost put 10 anyway, and then I was like, oh, maybe I should just. But then just talking about it, I love it.
It brings smiles to both of our faces just talking about it. It's a crazy good show at the moment.
What a time we're in! Like,
oh my gosh, we're just making the most of it every single week, and that it comes out. But please check out Derek, John, and Chris's podcast. It should be dropping soon, I'm assuming. But they have great discussions, really in depth as well. But yeah, don't forget about us later on with our panel discussion too. Also, next, as mentioned, episode 281 will be our panel on the Tomb. And as mentioned, Rebecca, Noel, and KHONSHU will be joining, so that should be fun. Absolutely fun indeed. Live streamed, so keep a lookout on our social media platforms. As always, a huge thank you to our Patreons, Patronies, Odin, Daniel, Drew, Frank, Justin, Derek, Kyle, Wayne, Jordan, Josh, James, Anthony, Russell, Michael, Mario, Gavin, and Matthew. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun, and thank you for helping us with the show as well. Thank you for everyone who's dropped in comments too. You can consider becoming a member at patreon.com/ITK Moon Knight. Also, a big shout out to CLZ Comics at Collectorz.com. Check out Frank the Tank on Moon Knight Vision with a Z on Instagram. Daniel doing patreon.com/fringenight27. You can support his indie comic book series, all to do with Erie, Pennsylvania's very own mysterious superhero. And Drew Tombs' fantastic music on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Tombz with a Z, or on Bandcamp at LURKMUSICK with a CK.bandcamp.com. And finally, Dreamland Comics, use the code MOON to get 20% off all their stuff. Another final shout out to our collective members, fantastic podcasts, all there, something different for everyone. Check out Rebecca's other shows, DC AU, the DC Animated Universe podcast with Alan. It's a really fun discussion on all the DC animated TV shows and or films, as well as Sons of the Dragon and Immortal Iron Fist podcast, which Rebecca features on there alongside Connor, Carl, and Omar. So, and finally, you can find us again. Please send us anything. Send us all your thoughts. Email feedback@itkmoonlight.com. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, Get Vocal, and Podchaser too. And incidentally, as well, if you're loving it, what we're doing, covering all the Moon Knight stuff, TV show, comics, please consider giving us a review on any of the podcatchers, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Apple. That'd be very cool indeed. But Rebecca, once again, a huge thank you. I'll see you again very soon.
Yep, in the middle of the night. So if I'm looking tired, this time round, it's the other way around. It'll be my middle of the night. I'll be like, hi, what? Yeah, so.
Yes, and it will be nice a morning opposite to what you see now. For opportunities can see the video. But having said all that, may KHONSHU watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
Take care.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.